Welcome to Determined to Succeed. I'm your host, Dawn, also known as Unique Connector. So I'm excited to have two guests today because I thought this would be a fun discussion and topic. And so I have Michelle on here as well as Nancy. And so how this kind of all brewed up was an event I had online where we were all chatting virtually. And I just love holding space for people and a space where they can be vulnerable and authentic and they can talk about things that are on their chest and have that safe space. And so, kind of what started this was there is I in team. And Michelle and Nancy both had the same kind of concepts and were sharing on social media. And it started this very vulnerable discussion. And I thought, hey, let's make this into a podcast episode and talk about this. So when I say that, if one of you kind of even want to talk about maybe what's on your chest or the experience of being really vulnerable in a group of people.
Well, I could dive in because this was me being vulnerable. Um,
Okay.
and so, first of all, Dawn, thank you because you're so good at holding the space where we can share, what's on our mind and what's really going on, and be real. And so, in this conversation, um, I don't even remember how we got to being vulnerable and sharing stuff, and maybe Michelle can refresh our memory on that. But what I know is I got to this place where I was like, okay, so I'm going to share something right now with somebody who's in the group, and there were like maybe a couple of other people on the call, at least, if not more.
Yeah.
But I thought, so Michelle, and so I said, so here's what happened to me, right? I have been working on this concept of this idea that the old cliche, there's no I in team, and how I understand that that's about ego and letting go of ego, right? However, I don't believe that that's a true statement. I believe is an I in team. And I've been working on some presentations around that and material around that. And one day I'm on social media and Michelle, who is a fellow coach, and we love each other, right? And I see she's got this post about, hey, there are two I's in teams and here they all are, right? And I'm like, what the heck? She stole my material, right? And but what was really cool about it is that I got to share, right? Like that's my initial reaction, like, oh my gosh, somebody else is doing what I'm doing. And oh, that's not, then what? What am I around for? What am I good with if Michelle's got that one covered too, right? And by having this whole conversation where we ended up with great, it's great. One, yeah, we're on a mission together to change that cliche, right? To change that, hey, we need to remember who the individuals are on teams so that we can really leverage our characteristics in our each individual. And so, Michelle, I'm going to have you jump in here because I can't imagine from your end what that was even like hearing me say that and like calling you out in a Zoom room. Like, what was I thinking?
I mean, it was interesting because I was like, you are like, that's so weird. Like, I thought it was like, I didn't think it was necessarily something I came up with, but I vividly remember like when this thought came to me and it was just like, I was driving and I remember like having this thought and I was like, this is really interesting. And I didn't want to forget it. So I remember pulling out my phone and like starting to do like a voice memo to myself saying like, there is no I in team and like all my thoughts behind it. And I mean, and it took me probably like 3 weeks, if not longer, like a couple months before I actually like posted that idea and that thought. And so when you brought it up, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so interesting. And I was like, it's definitely not like, I'm like, I never had seen you post anything about it. I never feel like I saw anyone post about it. But even when we were talking before we started recording, it's like, it's so funny how sometimes, especially as coaches and even like, you know, thought leader type of people, it's like you see so much stuff out there, and you're reading great books and you're listening to podcasts, and then sometimes you're like, was this my idea or was this someone else's idea? And it's like, why did, like, not everything has to be like my original idea either. And so yeah, I mean, I thought it was like such a great thing that you brought up, and I actually feel like it like almost brought us closer.
That, yes, good point, because all of a sudden we're talking about, well, hey, like we should get together and talk about this concept and how can we share more about this? And I'm going to be doing a presentation in the fall, specifically around this topic. And I'm like, hey, Michelle, can you help me like brainstorm on this? And so now
Mhm.
it's like I feel like we're in it together, which is really a cool feeling. Yeah.
Mm. Well, and I love it because there's a couple nuggets here of like, of course, Nancy, I appreciate you being really vulnerable and talking about this. Our first instinct sometimes is, oh, she's copying me, or, that competitive, that threat, it's the fight or flight sometimes that we go into automatically, but you were able to revert it quick. And that's the part too of like why we've been doing the positive intelligence stuff over the years is really to help us think differently, to get new perspective, and to be more curious on it and be like, oh, she's thinking the same as me, or maybe she has a different perception than me. And I think that's the part too is just how can we keep breaking down these barriers where it's not a competition? It's how can we embrace together and to learn together and keep going. And even if it wasn't an original idea or maybe it's a thought, whatnot, we all come with different perceptions on things and we're all going to take it in differently. And that's the part that I think is the beauty of this and why I thought it would be fun to talk about it, because I could see an instant bond, even though we were virtually that day, of you two, like there was like light bulbs going off, or your eyes were both glowing even more of like, oh, I have a friend here that's thinking the same as me. But I just appreciated, Nancy, that you were just so comfortable to say, like, my first instinct was, oh my gosh, you're copying me, or this is going to be a competition now. But then you're able to revert it fast. And I really appreciate that, because I think that was just such a learning opportunity for me to watch you two and then to see this like blossom even more.
And I love that you brought up, the reverting, the reframing, right? Um, and the positive intelligence program that you and I took at about the same time, Dawn, and just learning all those techniques. But um, I think the real key for me is um, there's an opportunity to practice those techniques in our reframing and our mindset, you know, um, every day. And that's what life's about is, getting exposure to opportunities where we can learn and grow. So um, I'm, it really was an effective demonstration of those skills in a very short amount of time. Like when I look back on how I thought that, and within 30 seconds, I was able to reframe that to, well, maybe, hey, wait, this might be a good thing instead of with the initial reaction of this is a bad thing, right? Um, and and then getting the opportunity to share it live with Michelle after having said it to nobody yet, right? And I'm speaking directly to the source, and it's like, oh wait, like we resonate on this. That's okay. We can go further together. So yeah, but just that practice that this is what I mean. We all face every day is, um, those um, those I call them nagging negative notions. They just they bug us, and we keep repeating these negative stories to ourselves. And when we can learn to shift those, it's so much more powerful because now we're having a conversation about this, and we're going to do more together by sharing this. So
Mm. And I think it's a reminder too of sometimes those uncomfortable conversations that you have to have.
yeah,
Because look
with
at that.
ourselves,
Yeah, with
with each
ourselves.
other and with ourselves.
Yeah. And that's where I think sometimes too we hold back from having those uncomfortable conversations, but look at the beauty that came out of that. And that's the part, even too, I'm thinking of teams and, corporations too, of like even where this kind of was building from too, of like those uncomfortable conversations are what's going to keep moving the ship ahead or keep moving us ahead that we sometimes don't want to do. And so, Michelle, even too, what's resonating with you or what's coming up from this conversation?
Well, yeah, even just when Nancy said, like going to the source, I feel like that's so important. And like in some situations, we can't go to the source, or it's not safe for us to go to the source. But for her to be like, okay, I had these thoughts, and now I'm gonna like go to the source of like, well, what was behind this, and really figuring it out. And sometimes it's like it's so easy for us to like have those negative thoughts or whatever, and then be like, oh my, and then think badly of the other person or think badly of yourself or whatever that is. And it's like either, learning how to like reframe it for yourself, and also like assuming the best of other people. That's just kind of like my natural state, is like assuming the best of other people. So if you can't go to the source and kind of have the tough conversation about it, I think being able to be like, okay, like I know Nancy well enough to know that like she's not gonna like try and quote unquote steal an idea of mine and call it her own. And I think that's the other thing of like stuff we see on social media. It's like, yeah, I said that, but it's like I wasn't claiming that as like my idea or whatever. And I mean, there really are very few, unique new ideas. There might be like different perspectives and different ways of thinking about things, but it's like it's all just, kind of like the same ideas but just put in different ways. So yeah, I really like the idea of like going to the source and being like, okay, if it's something that you're really, if you're really struggling with, or you really are concerned about, going to the source is your best thing that you can do to actually figure out what's actually true, instead of repeating the lies to yourself in your head of what's not true.
Mm. You're kind of like, I don't know why, but there's like this moment now where I'm like, it's been interesting, this conversation that I've realized, even being in this space of just some women or other people that are doing similar things but different, have been really vulnerable with me. Like, I just even think of one moment of when I hosted a retreat and someone I didn't know very well. She was actually on the podcast, Andrea. I'm going to just shout her out anyways. But she came and like towards the end of the retreat, she came up to me and she goes, I just have to say, I've been watching you for a while and I was nervous to come today because I thought it would make me overthink all the stuff that I'm doing. But you just embraced me now. I'm going to host my own retreat that I've been dreaming up. And I was like, great. Like I was so proud of her and like, cool, rinse, repeat what I'm doing if you want. Like, we're all going to bring our own uniqueness to it. And it happened even with another person that came to a different retreat one time. And now she's doing some. And I'm like, the part about all of this is it's going to spur energy for other people, or it's going to finally ignite them to keep showing up as them and to find their unique pizzazz or spice that they want to bring to it. And that's the part, even for me, that I'm recognizing of like, I've been a catalyst for other people and you guys too. And I think that's the part that we need to keep reminding ourselves that it's not just a competition or it's not always trying to have our own unique thing. But if we can catalyze other people to keep going and shining bright and showing up as themselves and having the hard conversations, I think that's really what it's all about.
Yeah, I sometimes think, like, just hearing you say that makes me think about how we all want to have an impact. And
Yeah.
the bottom line is that we can have a bigger impact sometimes the less we're trying to have an impact. Does that make sense?
Mm.
Like just by being ourselves and really, um, creating great spaces, and that's our impact. Our impact is just be present, show up.
Mm. Yeah. And I think too, the taking the action, because I've noticed even myself sometimes where I'm like, oh, this is so disorganized, or I feel like I'm throwing spaghetti on the wall. But then sometimes I don't always realize the ripple effect that it had on other people, even though I thought maybe it was disorganized or whatnot. But I think that's the part too of like even the podcast. Start spreading stories, share. You never know who else could maybe be hearing this today and realize, like, oh, this isn't a competition. This is a way we can work together. So I appreciate you guys being on the show. And wondering what words of wisdom or things that is even on your chest right now that is coming up that you want to share also that maybe we haven't touched on.
Something that came up when you were talking, Dawn, and then it was reiterated what you were saying, Nancy, about like impact is, you know, I'm sure you have heard the saying like seven, like to really understand something, you have to hear it like 7 times, 7 different ways from 7 different people. And so it made me think of like, yeah, okay, so like Nancy's creating this talk that's around this topic of like there is an I in team. And so what if someone that is at this talk saw my
Mhm.
post and then they are hearing Nancy talk about it, and then it really all of a sudden actually registers for them and they're actually able to absorb it. And so it's actually better the more of us that are talking about this kind of topic, because then it really sits with people and people can kind of take it in and actually embrace this topic. And so the more of us that are talking about it, the better. And I kind of even think about like Brene Brown with like vulnerability. Like she's not really the only person that talks about vulnerability.
Mhm.
And it doesn't stop me from talking about vulnerability. Like no one thinks I'm Brene Brown, but I can still talk about it, right? And so it's like I feel like the more we're talking about it, the more other people feel safe talking about those topics too, especially when we are talking about things that it's trying to flip something that we're used to hearing kind of upside down or on its head a little bit. So I think you can kind of think of it in a positive way then too.
Mm,
Mhm.
I loved that. So true.
Yeah, I'm thinking too about the idea now that it did bring Michelle and I closer together to just talk because it's like, oh gosh, so we have some similar thoughts. And what we were able to do is kind of get curious about where did those thoughts come from? And now we're going to get together. We're going to, get our different perspectives on it, which is just going to enhance each of us in, being able to carry that out in the world in the ways that we do best. It just goes back to like, we might have similar ideas, like you were saying about Brene Brown, right? Like other people talk about vulnerability, other people talk about all the things Brene talks about, but it's the fact that she can communicate it in a way that resonates with a certain group of people. And other people might need to hear it from Deepak Chopra or, some other Brendan Burchard or somebody like that. So it's all about um, sharing, making an impact on the world and sharing what is powerful for everybody to be a better version of themselves.
Mm, mm. Well, I think you guys really had some words of inspiration today. And I hope the listeners are really listening and getting that, maybe that little spice that they needed to have that hard conversation or to think differently even when it comes to their teams, and to know that there's different people out here too that are doing similar things but differently. And that's the part of the beauty of it, and that we can all work together and collaborate and see, things similar but differently too. So I appreciate you both so much and thankful that we had this conversation. And I feel like this is going to spur more future collaboration conversations. So I appreciate you both so much. Keep shining bright, keep changing the world. And yeah, we will record another one again in the future. So thank you again for joining me on the show.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Dawn.
Don. Good stuff.